Helmut Marko has seen it all in Formula One, and now he is sounding the alarm for Charles Leclerc. His message is not meant to diminish the value of Lewis Hamilton, because when his back is against the wall, he reaches a whole new level. A level at which Hamilton finds himself at this moment. This is the final move, the last roll of the dice. Hamilton did not leave Mercedes to wait and see how things would unfold. He left in search of his one and only chance to win an 8th world championship. If this initiative from Ferrari does not work, there will be no more alternatives, no more time for Mercedes to rebuild, nor any hope that Red Bull will suddenly forget the art of designing a competitive car. It is now or never, and that is why Ferrari no longer counts on the charming Hamilton. It is no longer about sharing victories and defeats together, Hamilton. This version of Lewis has come in determined to win the championship, without hesitation. Now, do not misunderstand me. I am not saying that this is Hamilton's last season, but let us be realistic. It is unlikely that he will have another opportunity in a top team after this move. For him, Ferrari represents not just a new chapter, but a do-or-die moment. Charles Leclerc may still see himself as the promising young talent of Ferrari. But there is one problem. Hamilton does not accept being treated as a secondary figure. This is not a long-term project to develop the team together. Hamilton did not make history in Formula One only to be the supporting act for someone who has not yet won a title. If Ferrari believes it can manage the situation, so be it. Because Lewis Hamilton is not here to boost Leclerc's title campaign. He is here to win it for himself. That is exactly the message Helmut Marko is sending to Ferrari. When he speaks, people listen. Not because his predictions are always spot on. Sometimes he offers guesses reminiscent of a fortune teller at a festival, but because when it comes to identifying a dangerous driver, he knows exactly what to look for. And now, in analyzing Hamilton, Marko sees an enormous threat to Charles Leclerc. Marko understands that Hamilton is not the type of driver who needs a long time to adapt. Sure, Ferrari may be new to him, but that is just a minor hurdle. Give him a few races, and he will extract every last tenth from the new car model 25 as if he had been driving it for years. When that happens, Leclerc will face a serious problem. Because once Hamilton senses even the slightest chance at the title, he will give everything he has. Ferrari might claim that it wants to have two balanced drivers, but history shows otherwise. Teams tend to support the one most likely to deliver results. If Hamilton proves to be the faster and more consistent driver, Leclerc will gradually begin to feel like the secondary option in his own team. However, if things were that simple, Marko would not have pointed out the one potential weakness in Hamilton's game. His motivation decreases when he realizes that victory is out of reach. If Ferrari errs and gives him a car that can only fight for 4th place, that race may simply fade away. But if the car model 25 turns out to be even remotely competitive, Hamilton will bet everything. And that is when things become dangerous. Because once he reaches maximum speed, neither Ferrari nor Leclerc, nor even team orders will be able to stop him. Now, you might think that Ferrari would never do this to its young talent Leclerc. But think again. No matter how much they talk about having equal drivers, the truth is that it never works that way in any team competing for a championship. Eventually, one driver wins the full support of the team. Not because it was planned, but because when the championships are on the line, teams have to choose a side. And if Hamilton starts to stand out, that decision will naturally reveal itself. Leclerc probably feels secure. He has been Ferrari's choice since 2019, signed long-term contracts, and endured the pain, the questionable strategies, and the disappointments, all because he was seen as the future of the team. But here is the dilemma. Hamilton is not here for the future. He is here to win now. Imagine that, by the 5th or 6th race, Hamilton is already shining in the standing. The question then is whether Ferrari will really distribute strategic decisions fairly, or will begin to favor the one more likely to bring them a championship. And, in practice, the latter option is more likely to prevail. And what if the battle remains close? That is when conflicts intensify. Because at the moment Ferrari has to decide whether to let one pass the other or maintain the starting order, neither of them will take the decision lightly. Hamilton has never accepted being second, and Leclerc fought hard to be recognized as the team leader. Thus, Ferrari finds itself caught between a rock and a hard place. Before we try to predict how this battle will unfold on the track, let us take a step back and evaluate the strengths of each driver as the season begins. Let us start with Leclerc. He has been Ferrari's pillar for many years, is younger, possesses impressive speed, and has withstood the team's questionable strategic decisions without requesting a transfer. Ferrari has built its future around him, offering him a long-term contract and making him the face of the team's resurgence. Betting on Leclerc is a long-term investment. He is still young enough to win several championships, and believing in him means securing Ferrari's future. Moreover, if he feels betrayed, other teams, whether Mercedes or even Red Bull, will not hesitate to call him. On the other hand, Hamilton is a proven champion. He has been in title fights before, knows how to handle pressure, and has indeed won championships, achievements that Leclerc has not yet reached. If Ferrari truly wants to win now, Hamilton is the safest bet, as his experience has already allowed him to overcome adversaries such as Red Bull in title battles. If Ferrari's car turns out to be even remotely competitive, he will know exactly how to extract every crucial point at the exact moment. But what is the worst decision Ferrari could make? Hesitation. If the team takes too long to set priorities and tries to keep both drivers equally satisfied, they might lose the championship altogether. Red Bull and McLaren will not sit idle while Ferrari deals with its internal drama. If Leclerc and Hamilton start taking points away from each other, Verstappen could walk away with the championship before anyone even realizes what is happening. And let us not forget that once one of the drivers feels betrayed, that partnership falls apart quickly. Whether it is Hamilton or Leclerc, as soon as they perceive that Ferrari does not support them unequivocally, discontent will arise. Thus, Ferrari has two choices: invest in the future with Leclerc, or immediately go after the championship with Hamilton. This is the dilemma facing the team, and what all this means for the season 2025. The opening races will reveal everything. Who adapts more quickly to the new car model 25? Who performs when it matters? Who gains the advantage in qualifying? Make no mistake, Ferrari will be watching every detail. If Hamilton bursts out of the gate, outpacing Leclerc in the early races, the entire team dynamic, including the starting strategy, could change overnight. Although Ferrari promises equal treatment, history teaches us that when one driver begins to stand out, the team's support naturally gravitates toward him, causing Leclerc to gradually feel like he is relegated to the reserve role. On the other hand, if Leclerc dominates the initial stages, what then becomes of Hamilton? Will he accept the situation, or will he begin to feel frustrated with the lack of priority from the team? And here is another nightmare scenario. What if Ferrari's car is not even competitive? What if Red Bull and McLaren continue to be far superior? And what if, midway through the season, Ferrari realizes that they are only fighting for a modest position? Will Hamilton lose his motivation upon realizing that the title is out of reach? Marko asserts that this is indeed the case, and then the tension between the drivers intensifies. At first, the relationship may be respectful and professional, but if battles erupt on the track, Ferrari will be forced to intervene, deciding who receives the best pit stop strategy, who has priority on updates, and who is instructed to yield a position. No matter how much the team tries to treat the drivers equally, eventually that balance will shatter. Yet there is one crucial issue. The worst scenario for Ferrari is to have one of the strongest driver lineups on the grid, and if they do not manage this duality properly, hand over the championship to Verstappen or Norris on a silver platter. Here is the recipe for disaster. First, the team refuses to choose a side. They try to keep Hamilton and Leclerc equal for too long, leading the drivers to take points away from each other, while Red Bull and McLaren move ahead in the championship, causing Ferrari to waste its best chance in years. Next comes Leclerc's problem. If Ferrari starts to favor Hamilton, whether through strategic calls during pit stops or instructions on track, how long will it take for Leclerc to start looking for another team? He endured years of the team's mistakes believing he was Ferrari's future. But if he suddenly realizes that priority is being given to Hamilton, Red Bull or Mercedes will be ready to answer his call. And what about Hamilton? Suppose Ferrari makes an error in its strategy, though that has never happened before, right? If Hamilton feels that he is not receiving the proper guidance, or, even worse, if Ferrari's car does not live up to the demands of a championship, will he regret leaving Mercedes? Will his motivation wane? Will he completely withdraw from Formula One? In that case, Ferrari would not only be competing against Red Bull and McLaren for the championship of 2025, it would be fighting against itself. Managing two elite drivers is never easy, and history shows that if a team delays in choosing a leader, the risk of losing everything becomes imminent. Hamilton is not here to play a long-term game. He is here to win now. Leclerc believes he is Ferrari's future, but will the team really allow Hamilton to become the supporting act? If Ferrari does not handle the situation properly, it may not only lose the championship, it might lose one of its top drivers. The championship does not yet belong to Red Bull, but if Ferrari errs, they will hand everything over to Verstappen. This is the wake-up call echoing behind the scenes in Formula One, and the upcoming season promises to reveal with every race which path Ferrari will choose.